Okay, we got the live stream started. I know no one's here yet because this is a little later than I normally start my live streams, but I'm just gonna wait for some of y'all to pour in. I'm gonna go ahead and share that I'm live, and hopefully some of my mods are available. So what we're doing today is we're going to do a live reading. I'll introduce this all again for when you guys pour in. I'm just waiting. As you can see, I've stuck to like yesterday's look. Hi, Rory. Do I see you following? Following the live stream or on Twitter? Not clear on what you mean. Okay. Probably. What name did you use as your Twitter handle? Good morning, Junk Shop Library. Welcome, welcome. We're gonna do a live reading today, and I wanted to read. So I'm gonna read Alone in the Dark again, and I'm gonna read some of the following chapters because I think they're interesting. And also, my dreams back then that I used to write about were very end of the world, which seems very topical right now because people are absolutely losing their minds. Just gonna post the live stream to Twitter. But how is everybody? How is isolation for you guys? How are you feeling? I think that it's like, I know I'm doing these like fun videos for the moment, and tomorrow is going to be a fun video as well. I'm going to probably record it today and post it tomorrow. But I have, for the moment, only planned fun videos and nothing too serious because I feel like we just need like positive entertainment for now. 1988 Ramon. I'll have to check if that account is following me, Rory. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm sure if you did follow me, you're following me on Twitter. It's not typical for Twitter to just be like, no, you can't have this follower or you can't follow this person. So yeah. How is isolation treating you? Like, are you still mentally well? Are you stocked up? Have you stolen all the toilet paper that there is to steal in the world? Because it's just ridiculous. I'll do another video ranting about all the hoarding because I had a long conversation with one of my friends about the hoarding kind of culture. And yeah, it's ridiculous. But so what's on the docket today is that I will be doing a reading. I'm going to be doing a dramatic reading that I think everyone will enjoy. I'm going to be reading Alone in the Dark, which was a series of dreams that I wrote out. And it was all posted to my blog, so if you want to go and check it out, you can. It's still available there. And I'm just trying to look for the first one. And I'm gonna be rereading the one that I read the last time I did one of these because I feel like that would be a good way to start off. But yeah, let me know what you think. If you like this video, like it. If you can give me some monetary support, it would really be appreciated because I'm not working right now and I typically work a 0-hour contract, so I really don't know what's going on with that, but I promised myself that I would not freak out at least for this weekend, and I would, take this weekend to take it easy, not touch any of my work, not touch anything to do with work, just relax and keep calm, and then the rest of the week will be work and I can go in with like a more focused mind. But yeah, I still don't know what's going on, so yeah, that's what I'm doing. And you know, if you're not subscribed and you're here, I think it's all my regulars. There's Nerdy, there's Ahmed09, there's Rory, there's Junk Shop Library. Like all of my regulars are here, and I again, like I can't tell you how much I appreciate that every week there's always someone just to come and sit down and hang out with me. It's always great. And you know, if you have any questions, I'll probably go over them in the last segment of the show, but I am going to get into the reading now. So, the last time I did a dramatic reading, I did read Alone in the Dark, but I read like a bunch of other stuff. It wasn't the focus of that dramatic reading, but I am gonna just go ahead and read this one again because it's the first in a series. So that's what I'm gonna do. Oh, welcome, Critical Cripple. Thank you for joining us. We're gonna be doing dramatic reading. So if anyone jumps in after this, they're gonna come into a very scary situation. So the first one is called Alone in the Dark. He's coming. He's coming, the madman mumbled, as he quaked and tremored, shivering like a child out in the rain. The old king, he's coming, he's coming. You watch the madman mumble and mutter, fascinated by his repetition and by his fright. A hand grasps your shoulder from behind, and you behold the wrinkled face it belongs to. Pay him no heed, said the old man. We have to come to a place of safety. You don't say anything. You want to question the sentiment, but you don't. He's never been wrong before. Why should that change now? He's always been correct, always looked out for you, and he didn't say something that was what it was, unless it was what he said it was. Will he be all right? You asked the old man, trying to soothe the madman by stroking his arm gently. The madman took no notice or comfort from this. He'll be fine in the morning. He always is, said the old man. Be a good girl and make sure all the doors are sealed. You nod your head once, and after you kiss the madman's forehead and give him a reassuring hug, you get up to leave and make sure this safe place is sealed from any danger. As you walk through the corridors, your footsteps resounding on the hard stone floors, you grimace with the severe lack of good lighting about. It unnerves you to walk in such darkness, and every sound makes you shudder. You hear the faint sound of a child somewhere, but you ignore it. Your motherly instincts haven't left you after all these years, and even in silence there's always a child babbling or squeaking or wailing in your mind. You come upon the front door and quickly make sure that the large splint barring it is secure before you move on to the other rooms into the house. The darkness plays tricks on you as you move through it, shadows flickering into things your mind doesn't like. The silence is eerie and continuous. Hello? You call, just to fill it. Your voice echoes in the emptiness. You hear the fear in your own voice as it echoes. Shit, you mutter. I better get this over with quickly. The bedrooms are somnolent, quiet as graves. You start with the uppermost bedrooms, making sure that all the windows are shut tight as well. The netting that was supposed to be covering them are so moth-eaten that they look like dangling cobwebs in the darkness. Stumbling through the upper rooms, you infer that the people who had lived here previously must have been hoarders. You curse your way through the corridors every time you hit your knee on a low surface you fail to see, or every time you mistook hanging clothes for a looming person. Still, you note that faint sound of a child wailing somewhere. You've been alone in the dark for too long. You're hearing things, seeing things, imagining things. That mythical sound in your mind grows as you near a door that's only open by a fraction. The sound stops as soon as you reach the door, and in its place is a soft croaking of an old, forgotten lullaby. Fear jars your bones, and you can feel the chill of your bodily hairs standing on end. An instinct tells you not to go inside, oh please, don't go inside, but your bravely foolish curiosity is far too great to listen to reason. You edge closer, not rushing ahead, as if that would save you, protect you from what was to come, and move the door open with the tip of your foot. It creaks so loud it could have woken the dead, and a wave of sickly, rotting smell rolls over you, making you gasp for any residue of clean air. Your eyes water, and you wish you could cough, the repulsive smell out of yourself. But fear stops you from indulging. The lullaby has ceased. Impatience grasps you, and you push the door open firmly with one hand, using your other hand to cover your mouth and nose. Your eyes freeze on the room before you, too fascinated in the horror to look away, to bolt, to run, and never look back. Your hands drop to your sides and your legs go stiff, not responding to every instinct your mind is screaming at them. You can't move, you can't budge. Even if you could, the horrid woman sitting in front of you wouldn't let you. I don't expect you to understand, she says to you, her voice hollow and broken. You couldn't possibly understand. She stands, the floor splattered with fresh blood and meat squelching and sticking to her bare feet as she walks towards you, carrying a dark, damp bundle. She moves the mangled flesh of human parts aside with her feet. She's knee-deep in meat, and brushes away the hands and feet hanging from the ceiling on meat hooks. You gawp at her, her blood-soaked hair, the congealed fluid clinging to her skin and rags. There are no words. You can say nothing. She's an inch away from you and offers you the bundle. Would you like to hold him? She asks you, an edge of anger to her fearful monotony. You uncover the bundle. And it wails. That's the first chapter. We're going to move on to the next one in a second. I'm just gonna check on the chat. A few other people have joined us. I don't know at what point you guys joined, but we're doing a dramatic reading today and we're reading a horror story. So if any of that freaked you out and just made you leave, sorry. I'm just checking in. It's good that everyone's just saying hi to each other. Morrigan, welcome to the chat. She goes, I thought Faye had dyed her hair black. No. I was wearing a wig yesterday, but I am going to dye my hair very, very soon. So yeah, it was a wig, and I would never cut my hair, not front bangs. I'm too impatient for front bangs. I would be very I'd be very, very out of my mind to do that. But I'm glad you enjoyed the look. I'm glad that you thought it was pretty, and you know, a lot of people said, oh, dye your hair black, but the thing is, black never gets out of your hair. And like, I like dyeing my hair, which is why it's this blonde color, and also it's just, yeah, it just sucks as a color. So I thought I would get a black wig in case I wanted to look like I had black hair, and also I'll be doing a cosplay around Comic-Con time. So and the character that I'm cosplaying, and I will not reveal it now, has black hair. So I thought it's just a useful wig to have, because I don't think I'm ever gonna dye my hair black. It's just not something that I'm gonna do. I might grow out my hair and not dye it for a while. I mean, it would take a lot of commitment, but never dye it black. So yeah, there's that. My cats are getting more cuddle time during my isolation. I'm glad. Junk Shop Library gave me chills this time too. Jeez. Rory says, will you be reading 50 Shades of Grey? Apparently it's popular with women. I've never read that book, and I do not intend to be doing a live reading of it. It just does not seem like something that I would do. I might read some of my other stories that are not horror fiction. Horror fiction is something that I only delved into very temporarily, because I don't think it's the genre that I write the best in. But these were dreams that I was having, and I just wanted to give them some literary life. And I actually feel like I will be adding to this series, because I am drawn by like all of the sort of dreams that I have. Sometimes they have like this weird connection, and all of these dreams that I'm gonna try and read in this live stream, if it's not too long, like that took about 10 minutes, so I think I can probably get through all of them through my normal live stream time. They are all connected to like this end of world kind of concept, which feels very, very relevant right now, because that's how people are acting. And I just thought, like, let's have some fun and read some spooky stories that I wrote years and years ago. Actually, I don't know when I wrote these. I think that one, does it have the date on it? 2016, so it was quite a few years ago. It was 4 years ago. Like, I need to get back into writing. So we're going to move into the next chapter. For any of you who are just joining us, leave your comments in the chat. I will get to them after I finish reading the story. I am doing a dramatic reading, and you know, if you like the live stream so far, remember to like, subscribe, share it on Twitter, on your social medias, whatever, and you know, you can check the description for any of the links. I would greatly appreciate any monetary support that you would like to give me, because I don't have work at the moment and it's kind of messing with my brain, but we'll avoid talking about that for the rest of the live stream. So the next one is called Blood of Infants. I actually don't remember this dream very well, but I guess we're reading through it. So, Blood of Infants. You're standing at the back of a long line of people. You're sweating. The bulk of the bundle of joy in your arms jumps and wails excitedly as you edge closer to the water slide. The weight of your belongings on your back ache your neck and shoulders. You're sweating. It's a hot day, the heat of the sun beating down on you from above, while the breath and perspiration of the crowd around you only adds to that heat. "Mummy!" cries your child. "Mummy, are we going to be next?" You smile at your baby. You shake your head and softly tell her to be patient. The child huffs, but smiles with the mischief that comes with such a young age. You look up at the sky, the cerulean blue mottled by fluffs of wandering clouds, while the sun shines upon the celestial throne of noon right above your head. There's a warmth inside you, a peace you never thought you'd find. When you close your eyes, your mind is still and silent, like the echoes of the inside of a seashell. "We're getting closer," your child says to you. "It's nearly our turn." You edge closer as more and more people disappear down the slide and into the depths of a covered swimming pool below. There's a man there, next to the very top of the slide, and he's waiting for you, for everyone in line. You don't know why, but you shudder at the sight of him. There's nothing about him that is so extremely out of the ordinary. He was wearing his work clothes, faded blue denims, and a shirt, under a waterproof poncho, but something about him made you want to step out of line, to leave the water slide be. The smile he wore, maybe. He had entirely too many teeth for that smile. And those eyes, those beady little eyes filled with an abnormal amount of eager delight. The young mother in front of you plops down the slide with her child, like the others, and suddenly it's your turn. You clutch your baby tighter, some innate calling within you, warning you. The man with too many teeth tilts his head at you, his beady eyes losing their glimmer of delight. His lips become upturned, and those teeth, all those teeth, look all the more menacing. "Well," says the man, "are you going to get your money's worth or no?" You narrow your eyes at him and shake your head firmly. The man stiffens. "There are no refunds." "That's all right," you say. I've changed my mind about this slide. I don't want to participate." Your child turns her head to look at you, her bulbous infant eyes beginning to water already. "But Mom," the man grins once more. "Your daughter begs to differ," he chuckles. Without warning or hesitation, he rips the child from your grasp. You scream for him to stop, but the crowd holds you back as she's placed onto the slide. Your child calls for you, babbling and mumbling, not truly knowing what was going on. She slides down, down, down. You watch as distance makes her appear smaller and smaller until she's disappeared into the hidden swimming pool below. You're thrown aside by the crowd, tumbling down the side of the hill, rolling and falling, being hit by the ground again and again, assaulted by the harsh dust and sharp rocks. The pain means nothing to you. You can't feel it. You don't attempt to stop the momentum. All you can hear, all you can see, everything that remains of your senses is the loud buzzing saw at the end of the slide that tore your beloved baby girl to pieces, ensuring that you would never see her again. Even as you stop tumbling, a broken, misshapen heap of a human being, you have no feelings for yourself, only sight and smell and feel of your baby's blood. I'm wondering if someone is just going to catalog this as Faye is crazy video. She had all these bizarre dreams. But yeah, I don't... What do you guys think? I'm just checking the chat. people in the past had said that the world is ending. Yeah, people are always saying that the world is ending. I hope this coronavirus clears up so no one will stay indoors, because staying indoors all the time is really depressing. It is really depressing, but it's just something that you're going to have to get used to until this blows over. It's I don't know. I don't know how any of it works. I'm just trying to be a good citizen and follow the advice that requires following. Waterproof ponchos, does that exist? Yeah, you can get waterproof ponchos. Mathpig, welcome to the chat. How are you? How is isolation treating you? And I hope that you know, you have a good time here, because we're just reading are they creepypastas? They're just like scary stories. They were dreams of mine that I had written out, so we're doing a dramatic reading. Junk Shop Library, I do not want your dream life. See, like with me, when I have a pretty intense dream, even if it is a nightmare, I don't find them scary. I find them fascinating, because even while I'm in them, because I'm a very visceral dreamer. I'm able to like move around the world that I'm in, and I think that a lot of the things that I dreamed about were very connected to the kind of traumas that I suffered. So like losing my siblings and losing my family and stuff like that. So I think that when I was on antidepressants the last time, all of those things were woken up, and they were, you know, dancing around in my brain all the time. And when I slept, they came out to play. And I've always found that the kind of dreams that really haunt me are more are dreams that are too real, like are about my life, like feature my father or my mother or specific members of my family. Those are the ones that actually like make me sad or cause for me to have nightmares. But anything else I just find absolutely fascinating, and I used to write down all the time. And I think I'm actually going to continue doing that, and we will get into the next chapter in a minute. I'm just going to finish going through the chat. Morrigan says, I almost never have nightmares. It sounds unpleasant. It's okay. It's pretty okay. Mathpig, I am so sorry that your work is still open, but I mean, they'll stop paying me by next week because I'm on a 0-hour contract. So there's a part of me that wishes that my work was still open, but I understand, like I work in schools, so I understand why they had to close down, and I'm worried about me. Rory the Swagger Husky, the reason we have laws in place, in my opinion, is to bring up protection, minimize harm, prevent harm, to bring justice so that we can have a civilized society. I mean, I agree. Morrigan 111, is part of you aware it's a dream while it's happening? Yeah, absolutely. When I dream, I'm very, very aware that it's happening. There are some dreams that I've had in the past, like again, that feature my mother or my father, especially, that I feel like I'm not dreaming. It feels like real life, and that like I either wake up crying or run, like I'll sprint out of bed or something like that. It's very, those are the ones that actually scare me. But when I'm dreaming about things that I know aren't real, like scary stuff or, you know, fantasy stuff, I'm very, very aware that I'm dreaming, and I'm able to not like peruse the world, but I'm able to like make choices, if that makes sense. And also the other reason that I know that I'm aware is that if my alarm goes off and I want to continue the dream, I will turn off, like I'll snooze my alarm and I'll dive back into the dream, so that like I'm fully aware that it's a dream. So yeah. Ahmed09 says, did you see how the pollution cleared up over Italy? It's visible from satellites. Well, yeah, no one's going outside. I mean, that's not that's not super surprising. We had to open another VPN, but I'm still working too. Mathpig says, hospital worker said yesterday 2 chilled 40 feet containers of unexpected dead bodies. I'm in Northern Ireland. Shit. Yeah, I'm trying my best not to look at the news over the weekend. I mean, I already did way too much research on Friday into wet farms, and for me, when I start looking into these things, I can't look away until I'm like done. Like I've looked into as many things as I can possibly look into. But I promised myself I'm gonna have a relaxed weekend, and that's what we're doing. So, yeah. Last message, and then we'll dive into the next chapter, which I think is a short one because it's more just like a series. It's just like a series of dreams, but it's Morrigan says it seems to be a good sign that you have the capacity to choose while dreaming. Not everyone has the same level of awareness while dreaming. Rory, the Swagger Husky, says the news is really depressing. Math Pig says delivered in expectance of death bodies. Typing is hard, lol. Well, that's terrifying. That's terrifying. Damn. And we're reading a scary story scary dreams that portend the end of the world. So that's probably not helping, but we're going to do it anyway. So the next chapter is Prophecies of the Mind. For those of you who have just joined, we are doing a dramatic reading, so strap in. It's called Prophecies of the Mind. Where are you? Where should you be? There's a light, not quite white, not quite bright, just a dim, unremarkable speck in the darkness. Is it tangible? Yes. You have it between finger and thumb. But what do you do with it? What is it for? You look into it. A pair of slugs, surrounded by tinier slugs, they're babies. Something strange is happening. Papa Slug is moving away. Just a little. He shakes. There's a sense of dread. Papa Slug can't stop shuddering. You reach for him, feeling some innate yet animalistic need to help him. Your touch. He tears to pieces on the threads of your fingertips, his flesh and blood spraying into the open air, defying gravity. Mama Slug? Mama Slug and her babies are gone. A tank. No, 2 tanks, filled with water. A giant spindly crab in one, a giant swirling squid in the other. Spindly crab is talking to you. What is he saying? You can't understand. He's crying? No, screaming. Screaming for help, scuttling around incessantly and screaming for you to set him free. You can't move. You try. Swirling squid leaps from his tank and bites down on one of Spindly Crab's legs with a snap of his sharp beak, breaking it off completely. Spindly Crab screams for you, bleeding out into his tank as Swirling Squid swallows his meal. You can't move. A shark. Too many teeth. Panic. Too many teeth. A shark dragging its huge body towards you on a sandy shore. You can't move. It bites down on your leg, thousands of tiny needles sinking into your mortal flesh, and pulls you closer. That grin, those teeth, closer and closer. You're underneath it and it's thrusting into you. It's grinning. Too many teeth. A tank. No, 2 tanks filled with water. No, one. 1 tank filled with water. 2 scorpions, striped. 1, black and white. A white Bengal scorpion. Giggle. 2, red and yellow. A red sun scorpion. Giggle. Beautiful. They can't move. You see specks. Tiny black specks drawing closer and closer to the white Bengal and the red sun. They're filling the tank. The black bodies becoming a larger, uglier speck. They cover the white Bengal and the red sun. The specks leave, crawling out of the water and spilling onto the ceramic floor. Only the carcasses remain of the scorpions, bone white, beautiful. What does it mean? Where are you? Where should you be? Yeah, this is definitely just going to be phone calls for me to go to therapy. um, so, what did you think of that? That was the next chapter, and I'm going to open the next one so that I'm not fumbling around. That was Prophecies of the Mind. I think the next one is an actual chapter. So we'll go ahead and open that one now in a new tab. But what did you think? Nerdy Rodent says we're all doomed. Excellent. Mathpig says Rem said it best, lol. It's the end of the world, lol. Morrigan says if you're not sleepwalking through your dreams, you are less likely to in your day-to-day life as well. Rory the Swagger Husky says, Nerdy, you think that's funny? I never said... I don't know. Nerdy Rodin, I think I spent too much time in the Nevermore Tavern listening to Amanda the Climate Science. Don't know what any of this is. Morrigan adds, it's surprising the amount of people who sleepwalk through their lives. You think outside the box and you don't seem shy about coming to your own conclusions. Is that, I don't know, I've never experienced sleepwalking. I don't know any sleepwalkers. I think in my culture, and I'm not so sure in my religion, but definitely in my culture, people who sleepwalk, they're considered to be possessed. But yeah, I don't know anyone that sleepwalks. But I will say that being someone who has quite vivid dreams and, you know, is able to make choices in them, it helped me just, I think it's my brain's personal way of dealing with everything that I've been through. And yeah, I don't know. But there are times where I've woke up and ran. Like I've just woken up from a dream and I've ran. But not while I'm actually sleeping. I am an incessant sleep talker. I will talk throughout my sleep as I do in my normal day-to-day life. I talk incessantly in my waking hours and apparently in my sleeping hours. And also, I will say that I'm a very, very light sleeper. Like, I very rarely dream in my light sleep. If I go into a deep sleep, I will start, you know, I'll start dreaming quite deeply, but I'm a very, very light sleeper. And the thing that wakes me up is like footsteps. Like, if I hear footsteps, I will wake up. And it took me a really, really long time to sleep well in the area that I'm in, because the area that I'm in is very quiet. It's very green and grassy. Like there's just old people and foxes here. And you can hear like people walking outside my window. Like I can hear, I'm on the first floor and I can hear people walking outside. So it took me a really, really long time to get comfortable with that because I was just constantly up at night. But anyway, Junk Shop Library said, I love the surrealness of that one. I think there's another one that's kind of surreal, but it's upcoming. Rory says, apparently, according to scientists, my people, the Bengalis, will go extinct in the next 100 years because Bangladesh will be flooded. I mean, we won't go extinct because we're spread everywhere. We are spread everywhere across the globe, so I don't think that that's the case. But Bangladesh is like 70% water, 60 to 70% water, so it wouldn't surprise me if it was underwater in the next 100 years. Jack Mule, greeting from Nepal. Greetings, welcome to the chat. We're doing a live dramatic reading, so if I caught you off guard by any of the stories, please don't fear for my mental health. I already know it's messed up. Morrigan, sleepwalking is a metaphor for being swept by the current of regular thought. Possibly, I don't know. Morrigan says, you don't conform, sleep, you think for yourself, awake. Okay, sick, cool, great, good to know. So now that I've gotten through the chat, I am going to move on to the next chapter. It's called Synthetic Condemnation. I don't remember why I named it that. It sounds like a very pretentious title, but that's what it's called. And I think, so these series of dreams, I know I don't want to give too much context because I just want you to enjoy the story, but they're completely achronological. But if you And I kind of did that intentionally because I was kind of writing them as I experienced them. But there is an order that you can put them into to make them make sense. But they are completely achronological, and I kind of really, really like that. I really, really like that they're completely achronological because it keeps you confused. And I don't know about you, but being confused is like my biggest fear. Like it's one of the only things that gives me a panic attack immediately, is like not knowing what's going on is the thing that scares me. Almost, I would say it's the fear of being unaccomplished and dying with no one remembering me is probably my biggest fear, and then it's being confused. So I wanted to keep that level of confusion by making it completely achronological. So there definitely is a way of making this chronological, but I like that it's achronological. I like that that's the way that I write. I'm sorry, it's just a lot of me patting myself on the back for my own writing. But I mean, it's been a while since I've looked back at it. And I genuinely hope that those of you who are in the chat, all 6 of you, are, enjoying the chat. Thank you for the super chat. Who left me a super chat? I'm just going to go and check that really quickly. Thank you, Ahmed, for leaving me a super chat. I really, really appreciate it. But we are going to continue reading this. So this is called Synthetic Condemnation. Darkness. It's breaking up in your mind with the light that's seeping into your vision. You don't want to leave it. The darkness is warm and comfortable, but there's a person calling you from the darkness of your unconscious mind. You don't want to hear him. You don't want to leave the nothingness your mind is currently offering. In the darkness, in the nothingness, you have no worries. You have no fears. Your child is alive in the darkness of your mind. Reality washes over you, bringing the tides of dread with it. Your sore eyes crack open, squinting quickly at the light above your head. No, not a light, a torch. A burning torch in a bracket. Where was this? You blink. Once, twice, a third time in quick succession. There's an old man standing above you, where you lay. He has the look of worry on his face. His eyes pools of concern and damage. Your limbs are stiff, but you begin to test them, to see if you can move them, to see if you can dull the ringing in your ears, all whilst looking at the old man. His dry lips curl into a curious frown, his dishevelled beard wagging as his mouth moved. There's a feeling in your mind, a buzzing emotion that you can't fathom until he squats over you abruptly. Fear. All of a sudden your limbs move in unison and you're crawling back away from him. You think a scream breaks from your person, but you can't be sure. You're hyperventilating, you want to run and scream and run. The old man holds up his hands, making no gesture to move any closer to you. Be still, child, he says, I mean you no harm. You shake your head. You have the sinking feeling that this is a liar and you can't trust him. You curl up into a ball, hugging your bare legs, trying to breathe, to fill your lungs to capacity, but it's not working. You feel like you're drowning in your panic. Your body begins to shake uncontrollably, your hands vibrating, moving from their places without willing them to. Tears streak down your face and you don't know how to make it stop. A rugged, animalistic cry bursts from within you, the sound of sadness and anger combined. It jars you. You can feel the old man holding you, covering you in a rag as a gesture of goodwill, and you didn't even see him coming. There's a thought in your head that tells you to run, to fight, but you ignore it. You want this. You want the comfort of this grubby, untrustworthy stranger. You don't care what happens next. There's a pain in your chest that you can't change, that you will never be able to change, and it's all you can feel, all you can think, all you can be. He's stroking your back and you're whimpering on his shoulder. You know how pathetic you are, but you can't stop. You don't want to. Shh, the man whispers in your ear. Shh, child, don't be so unruly. You're in a place where no one can hurt you. Liar. Liar, liar, liar. You push him away and bury your head into your knees. You hear him sigh. You hear the sharp sound of a door creak open somewhere. You slowly start to become aware of your surroundings. The cold floor beneath your naked buttocks, the concrete wall scratching your spine, The goosebumps begin to form on your limbs and you shiver in your naked coldness. Your breathing softens. Where are you? There's a wooden door to your left swung wide open, and a young girl in a pink frock stands there. She has an annoyed look on her face. She's glaring at you like you've wasted her time. Are you done? She mutters. The trial is still going on. That crazy old loon is muttering again about how innocent he is. The old man shakes his head. Don't be so insensitive, he gestures to you. Our guest has finally arisen. The girl scoffed. Arisen to fall again, she grumbles under her breath. The old man sighs once more. You should get some more rest. It's been a long, hard journey for you. He stands up slowly, arching his back to crack his bones back into position. Or you may come with us if you feel strong. The old man turns and leaves with the girl without another word. You think you hear the girl mumble some more. You shiver in the light of the torch, knowing that rest wasn't an option for you. To rest would be to die, and you didn't know if you were ready for that. You get to your feet slowly, your legs quaking under the sudden pressure. You feel as though you're a newborn horse, first learning to walk. You use the cold walls to prop you up and to stop you from stumbling. You don't care or take the time to question that you're naked, save for the dirty rag the old man draped over your shoulders. You leave the empty room and enter a passage lit by more torches. A shiver runs down your spine. You can't place where you are, and yet you feel as if you belong here, in this strange place. There are voices echoing down the passage, and you hobble your way towards them, beginning to hear more clearly as you get closer. You're accused of the deaths, said the voice of the girl. It's pretty clear it's you. Why can't you own up to it? There was a pathetic noise, the noise almost attuned to an animal in pain. Innocent, said a shivering voice. I'm innocent. The old king, he's coming. Crazy fucker, the girl said. There's no old king. You come to the door where all the sounds emanate from and stand there. The door is slightly ajar. You don't see the need to interrupt the atmosphere of the room within. You watch silently from outside. The man was sat in a rotting wooden chair, the girl by his side. A madman sat looking as if he was almost broken on the floor. There were torches lighted around them. You looked at the madman. You felt a strange, unwanted compassion for him. Enough, the old man said to the girl. I will not have you be vulgar. Vulgar, the girl shrieked, making a fist as if to punch the old man. This freak is the reason why the other protectors are dead. You know how he freaks out, fitting and flailing and striking everywhere he goes. Only he could have killed that many people. The old man glared at her. Don't talk about him like that. His anger was plain. My son has never bitten anyone, and those people had flesh torn from their bones. He was covered in blood, the girl argued. His face, his hands, his feet, all of it. He was covered in the blood of those people. You stepped in, without meaning to, holding the rag over your shoulders. The man and the girl turned their heads to look at you, the girl less than pleased. The madman just stared at his hands. It can't be him, you told him. He's not a murderer, not a savage. Well, la-di-da, shouts the girl. And how do you know this? You shake your head and say nothing. The girl grits her teeth, growling loudly. I'm tired of everyone sympathizing with him. He's a lunatic. You swallow, feeling the tears prick your eyes. You don't know what it is, but you have a feeling that none of them in that room were all that far from lunacy. There was something kindred about these people around you, a great sense of a shared experience, but you couldn't quite put your finger on it. So, the girl barked, can we cut him loose? Can we throw him to the dogs? There's silence from the old man. The madman mumbles, his lips quivering to his frantic chatter. The old man looks up at you, staring at you with eyes gleaming with plea and sorrow. Bizarre sentence. Why? He asks you. Why do you say my son is not a murderer? The words get caught in your throat. There's a sound behind you. The girl sees that you are distracted and shouts at you, but you don't care for that. There's a sound of dragging and gargling. You turn slowly to the corridor behind you and you see it. Your jaw starts to tremble, your mind racing to comprehend what you're seeing. A child. No. The size and build of a child, but distorted and disfigured, dragging its limp, soft, mottled legs on the ground, crying with each movement. Its head lolls back and forth, as if unable to keep it straight, its bulbous, bloated eyes flailing in its head to focus on you. It was dragging itself towards you, to stand at trial, pointed teeth bared and stained with gore that dribbled onto its mangled chest every time it gargled in pain. You wanted to scream and run, but an urgency makes you stay. The girl and the old man are calling for you, but they aren't beside you, seeing what you're seeing. The creature knows you see it. The creature knows it disgusts you. The creature stops, and then it leaps at you with such force that it knocks you to the ground. The wind is stolen from your lungs in an instant, and all you can feel is the slimy claws of the creature grasping for your bare limbs. You can see its roving eyes, ecstatic to see your fear, and the tilted evil grin, a grin with too many sharp teeth. You feel the claws sinking into your flesh, prepared to render it from your bones, and your body reacts. You smash the monster in the side of the head with your fist. Its body is soft and sickening to your brute force. You gag as it splats across the hallway and slowly pulls itself up like a rubber doll. You grab one of the torches from the wall and run at the creature, pinning it into the ground with your knees and stabbing it repeatedly in the face with the burning torch. The creature screams, and the scream pierces your soul. Its cry was like the cry of a newborn baby, helpless and hungry. The tears well up in your eyes, blurring your vision as you continue to stab furiously with blunt fire. The creature tearing at your skin for mercy, but you keep going, stabbing it again and again and again. Yeah. Yep. That's me. What did you guys think? That was Synthetic Condemnation. Let me know what you think. I mean, I know half of you are just like, please, Faye, please never get off your medication. Rory says, Faye, do you watch Netflix if you get financial? Actually, myself and Zara K share a Netflix account. That's what we're doing. But I'm pretty sure it's her Netflix account. I don't pay for any of it. So yeah, she's very nice. She's wonderful. She's like a sister to me. So yeah, we share a Netflix account. I mean, I don't really use it very much because again, I don't typically watch TV shows or movies. It's just not something I want to spend my time with. Sometimes I'll do it, especially around Christmas, because I have unlimited time around Christmas, or I feel like I have unlimited time around Christmas. So I will watch a lot of TV shows around Christmas. But normally throughout the year, I don't really like watching TV shows or movies. It's just not something I feel like doing. Next comment is, you should be proud of yourself. Pride is not a bad thing. Not like what these Abrahamic religions say, but it is arrogance, which is bad. Thank you. A Junk Shop Library says, love the Door Creak sound characterized as sharp. I never would have thought of that. I mean, Morrigan says, what is your interpretation of this stream? If I'm being completely honest, I don't know what any of them mean. I really, really want to get into dream interpretation, even though I know most of it's probably bullshit. But I really want to get into dream interpretation because I have so many interesting dreams. Like, even the ones that I don't really write down because they're funny or like bizarre and just weird. I'm keeping a little list of them at the moment, and I'll make a video or a live stream just talking about them because they're all kind of weird. Some of them are bizarrely sexual, and I don't know why, because honestly, it's not feeling it right now. In isolation, you know. But the interpretation of this stream, I think what's pretty clear is that at heart, I'm a parent. I raised my siblings. I'm the oldest of 6 siblings, and I raised all of them, during my mother was ill and after she died, and until I left my father's house. So I was raising them and losing them because I wanted to take them with me when I left. So losing them was a big trauma for me. It's still a big trauma for me. Like all of these like little dolls that I have, or like stuffed animals. I don't know what that was. I'll check it out later. But all these like stuffed animals that I have around the house are actually reminders of them. They're pieces of my old life, and you know, they're reminders for me, and they make me feel comfortable with the fact that I've left my siblings behind. So I think that's very much where the whole like mother aspect and like the children aspect comes from, like this idea that so the main character is whoever is reading the story. That's why it's in second person, and it, you know, that's why it's in second person, and the main character is, you know, me or whoever's reading the story, and the foil of this character is the woman who's like creating these disgusting like mutant babies. And I think that there's two sides of me that really wishes that I could have my children with me, and there's another side that just refuses to accept that I've lost my children. And you know, I'm constantly struggling with that, and that's where I think most of these dreams come from. I think that's the root of these dreams. But I don't know, I mean, you can leave your interpretations in the chat or in the comments if you're watching this after this is live. You know, it's all down to interpretation and what you think the dream means. Rory says she's not a prophet. I mean, I am divine. So Nerdy Rodent, sorry, Morrigan says that is an intense dream. It was a really intense dream. I'm pretty sure. So a lot of my dreams take place in like the last part of slumber, so like the last portion of me sleeping, that those are when I have the most intense dreams. And like, I think I snoozed my alarm, it was a weekend, and I think I snoozed my alarm so many times I woke up at like 1, because it was a really long dream, and it was a one that I just didn't want to get out of. So yeah, it was a really intense dream, and I remember waking up and thinking, what the hell did I just see? But yeah, it was sick. You know, it's sick in both ways. Like, it's kind of cool, and also just what is wrong with my brain. So yeah. Nerdy Rodent says, I'd sort of like to record a reading of one of these myself. It's well written. Well, you can read all of them. It's free material. It's all up on my blog, and I can give you like the category that I've thrown them in. I'm not entirely sure how to like do anything with my blog, but this is the link to all of the stories that are in there right now. So yeah, I've just posted that in the chat for you to, you know, peruse and leisure for yourself. Morgan says, kindred lunacy, often seen in society, especially when people collectively close their eyes to unfairness and equanimity. Don't know what that word means. Suddenly my dreams seem kind of bland. Don't do that. Ahmed09 says, no, your poems are quite good. I might do a poetry reading another time, but I want to get through these, because I'm trying to regain a certain style. I also might do a couple of dramatic readings of stories that I've completed. There was a Christmas story that I wrote, I think 2 years ago. And it was a very interesting story to my own mind, and I will, you know, I'll read that another time, because I remember a lot of people being freaked out and being like, how can you write a story like this around Christmas? Like, it's not happy, it's not jolly, like none of that. Like, you combined like fucking Midsummer and Christmas. Why? And I was like, because I wanted to write something scary for Christmas. Leave me alone. Paul says, do you like controlling your dreams when you're in them? I only exclusively control my dreams when I'm in them. I've never experienced having a dream where I can't control what I'm doing. I mean, there will be instances in dreams where I'm aware that I can't move, but usually there's a reason for that. Like, either I'm stuck somewhere, or I'm bound, tied up, something like that. So I'm always, I'm a pretty active dreamer. Like, I'm able to make choices in my dreams. It's almost like escaping to another world in here. It's just, it probably tells you why it's messed up in here. Morgan says, your dreams look more fun than mine to interpret. Well, you're welcome to interpret them if you would like to. Rory says, you have wet dreams. Sorry to be crude. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like everyone has wet dreams. I mean, make me feel weird if you really, really want to, but I feel like everyone has wet dreams. And yeah, I have wet dreams. Paul says you should post these on FetLife. I don't know what that is, and I don't think I want to know what that is. Nerdy Rodent. Oh, cool. Yeah, check out the link. That's where all of the stories are. And if you want to record them, go ahead and make sure you link them to me, because I would love to send people over, especially people who can do like voice acting and can narrate very like narrate in a tone. Like for me, I feel like my narration is very like teacher reading a storybook kind of narration, but if you can do like voice acting, and you can do, if you're really good at like changing and shifting the mood, then you should. There are a fair few typos in those blog posts. Do not judge me. I just haven't gone back and checked them. I very rarely proofread my work, which is a bad habit, but it's true. So there are a fair few typos and mistakes in there, but you know, you'll have to deal with that. Ever deal with an incubus or succubus in a dream? No, I don't think so. Nerdy Rodent says, my dreams pretty much always only have humans that I can remember, a bear once, and some elves, but that's atypical. I see humans in my dreams, but often, really, really frequently, I will see sea creatures in my dreams. I have an obsession with the ocean and the creatures in it. I'm terrified of the ocean. I cannot swim. Like, I can swim. I know how to swim, but there's so much anxiety around swimming for me. Like, I can probably swim for survival, but you put me in an ocean for a couple of days and I'm dead. Like, I'm just gonna freeze like a goat and I'm just gonna die, you know? Like, I'm terrified of the ocean, but I'm fascinated by the ocean. I'm fascinated by sea creatures, and I will very, very frequently see marine life, so like otters, whales, so like mammals that typically hang out in the ocean, and also fish and sea creatures. So I'll very, very frequently see those, and animals. I'll you know, I always have that. I also once had a dream, and someone told me off because they were like, you can't be that in a dream because that's not who you are, that's a lie. And I was like, is that true? Because that's what I saw. I had a dream that I was a gay man in a dream, and I got very severely told off. So I don't know. I'm not to be blamed for the things that I dream, okay? Equanimity is when people collectively close their eyes to unfairness. They repress their need and belief in universal good for everyone. Okay, I'll look into that. Rory says, when I have a dream and someone kicks me in it, it feels real. You know what feels super real in a dream is if I'm falling. I'll like, if I like trip in a dream, or if I like fall a certain distance, I will like, my legs will react and I will jump. I will actually jump and wake up. It's awful. I hate it. It's the worst sensation in a dream. Hashtag judged. Well, Paul had a dream of eating a large marshmallow one time, woke up with my pillow was gone. Morrigan says, when I dream of falling, my physical body makes a jerking surprise move. Me too. Yeah. Paul says, do you ever sleep talk or sleepwalk? I sleep talk all the time. Like when I lived with my siblings, and when I lived in my uncle's house, I shared a room with one of my cousins. And she would always say, you were like babbling all night long, like you were having full conversations all night. And I was like, I wasn't, I was asleep. Apparently I'm a very heavy sleep talker. I just can't shut this off. Junkshop Library says, exactly the same for me. I'm terrified of water but fascinated by ocean life. I just find it so just amazing. I can spend hours watching ocean documentaries. Last time that anyone took me on like a fancy date, like a really, really fancy date, we went to the aquarium. It's just a wonderful place to be. I love the aquarium. I love sea life. There are things in there, like in the ocean, that I never thought that I would like, that I love, like octopuses, like jellyfish, like all of that. I love it. It's amazing and beautiful and terrifying, but love it. I had a phase where I was just watching shark documentaries, and I'm pretty sure that influenced a lot of this work. Rory says you can be anything you want to be in a dream. Paul says you should try low-level hypnosis, a great feeling when you're done. Not deep hypnosis. I mean, I'm sure I can look into it. Al-Khwarizmi. Al-Khwarizmi, welcome to the chat first of all, and thank you for joining us. He says, have you ever been a gay woman in your dreams? I'm a bisexual woman. I've had dreams about sleeping with women. So I guess the answer to that is yes. But yeah, anyway, if for anyone who's just joined, we are doing a live dramatic reading, and we will be moving on to the next chapter of this story. If you, I mean, it doesn't really matter if you haven't heard from the beginning, but if you want to, you can scroll back, and we've gone through 4 chapters now, I think, and we're going to move on to the next one. This story is completely achronological, so it doesn't matter that you're just joining now, but that's what we're doing. So I just want you to be clear on that. And also, if you've just joined the chat, make sure to like, subscribe if you enjoy the content. If you don't, smash that dislike button, unsubscribe, leave me a hate comment. And everything is linked in the description below in terms of my social media, in terms of Patreon, in terms of my blog, in terms of my PayPal. Please support me monetarily if you would like to do so, and so on and so forth. Thank you, and we're going to move on to the next story. The next one is called The God of the New World. And you can tell where this one picks up from for those of you who've been listening from the beginning. But for those of you who aren't, again, it doesn't matter because this is a completely achronological series of stories that are kind of combined. I don't know. Just don't worry about it. So this one is called The God of the New World. The bundle wouldn't stop wailing. Its flesh is red and purple, pumping and pulsing like a live vein, but bruised and painful to look at. The smell it emitted from its face made you want to cry and vomit and cry. Its broken eyes rolled back and forth without control, no interest in focusing on you. You're crying. Loudly, unaware of your pain, you're bawling right back at the creature in your arms. You cannot understand what you are seeing. It hurts to even think. The woman in rags snatches the disfigured bundle of screams from you, tears rolling down your cheeks unchallenged as you watch her. You're on your knees. The sight has brought you to your knees, squelching in the muck and gore of this horrible atrocity of a room. The haggard woman snarls at you. You stare into her eyes, her fearsome, damaged eyes, the blue of her irises mottled by misshapen black pupils. You're breathing like a winded dog, unable to move, unable to run, exhausted. The woman looked down at the bundle wailing at her. There was something resembling a mixture of pity and disgust on her face. She raises a hand. Your jaw drops. At the end of each of her fingertips were nails an inch long each, razor sharp, caked with dried blood and congealed gore. Within the blink of your eyes, she stabs into her child with her nails. The baby's cry dying in mid-air. The blood splatters on your face, but you can't turn away from the nightmarish sight. Your mind is filled with unwanted fascination. The limp sack is tossed aside, meanwhile the woman never takes her eyes off of you. My child would not survive, she mutters. None of them do. A stifled mumble of pure fear escapes you. You don't want to be here any longer, but your body is frozen, rooted to this horrific place. You watch as the woman tears the rags from her body and revealing her shriveled breasts, her protruding ribs, and her swollen, scarred belly. You cover your mouth, protecting yourself from the dreadful smell that comes off of her. She stands in front of you, lovingly caressing her bump. But this one, she says, this one is destined. She reaches for your hand, and before you can jerk away from her, she yanks you closer. You feel the pulsating vessel beneath your hand. A force beats against your palm. Strong, the woman cries. Strong, destined for glory. You try to pull away desperately, but the woman tightens her iron grasp, her nails digging into your flesh. Don't you want to witness this? The woman asks you. The birth of the god of the new world. Her nails pierce your arm, drawing your blood. You scream, grabbing a dismembered limb from the floor and using it to slap her across the face. She falls to the ground beside you, and you gather your strength, turning and running out the way that you had come. That's the end of that chapter. We got 3 chapters left. So yeah, I'm just going to open the next one before I check the chat. A lot of people calling me out for my autocorrect mistakes. Rory says, I like the engaging with others. It's good for your mental health. It is. Junk Shop Library, disfigured bundle of screams. That's an amazing turn of phrase. Thank you. I love that some of you are enjoying, I don't know, some of you are enjoying the company, some of you are enjoying the story. But yeah, I appreciate either or both. Rory the Swagger Husky says, but sometimes we also want to be alone with ourselves and reflect. Agree. Nerdy Rodent says, that's right. An example of an automatic changing of one word into another word. My autocorrect is French. It's even worse than typing in English. I hate autocorrect. It should be called auto mistakes. I'm not sure that I hate autocorrect. I think that autocorrect has probably helped me more than it's harmed me in terms of my writing. In text messages and stuff, because I write quicker than I think, which is quite a feat, if I might add. But how is everyone so far? How is everyone enjoying the story? What do you think? We are going to move on to the next chapter very soon, but I just want to check in on all of you and make sure you're doing okay. Al-Khwarizmi says, you should be on a late night radio. You have the voice for it. Thank you. I am trying to get into it, but getting into radio is a lot harder than you think. So yeah, Nerdy Rodent says, all very well written. Thank you. And I hope that you enjoy voicing them yourself if you really want to do that. But we are going to move on to the next one. I don't think anyone new has joined us, so I won't be doing like a middle announcer kind of thing. But moving on. The next chapter is called The Sanctuary Ship. And yeah, waking. Why do you keep waking? What is this? There doesn't seem to be an end to this constant waking. You aren't afraid. It's the new norm. Your eyes are painful and dry as you crack them open. The old man is seated by your makeshift bed. What happened? You mumble, sighing, your throat parched. The old man grunts. Does it matter at this point? What is this? You croak. What is this? Why am I here? Who are you people? Silence. A minute. 2 minutes. 5. Anger burns through you. You jerk up, seeing red. Naked as the day you were born, your rags falling from your shoulders. The old man gazes at you, solemn and unmoved. You notice the girl is leaning against the doorframe some way behind him, her mouth twisted into a scowl. I want some answers, you scream at them. The girl tuts and turns her eyes from you. Answers, she mutters under her breath. You came to the wrong place for those. You leap from your bed, your bare feet on the cold marble, slapping down as you run towards the girl and slam her against a stone wall. I didn't come here, you yell into her face. I didn't ask for this. I want answers. Pfft, the girl scoffs, throwing you a snide smirk. Join the club, you epileptic fuck. You grit your teeth, digging your fingernails into her skin. Your mind races for the answers these people are holding from you. You try to understand what the girl is trying to tell you, but you're distracted by that nonchalant, unfeeling smile she keeps on her face despite your rage. I need water. You feel a hand grasp your shoulder, and you turn slowly, the cold hitting your skin like sparks. The old man looks down on you, the madman, his son, not too far behind him. "Release her," he says to you in a calm, disarming tone. You fight the peace that sweeps through you. "No," you choke. "I want to understand. I have so many questions. Where? Why?" A sob breaks from you and you tremble. "Careful," sneers the girl. "Don't faint again." Your reaction is instant. Your hand cuts through the air before you can even think and slaps her across the face. Your palms sing from the impact and the girl tumbles with the force, sent crashing into the floor. The old man grabs your wrists and you are trapped in his iron grip. You struggle, kicking and biting and headbutting and flailing and falling, crying, just crying. Crying on the dirty, cold ground, unable to speak, unable to think. There's an animal inside you that wants to claw and tear everything, everyone to pieces, but that animal has rolled over with its tail between its legs, howling in the hopes of a calling back to what it has lost. "Where am I?" you moan, tears and mucus streaming into your mouth. "Why am I here?" The old man embraces you, tight, as if he hears your pain and somehow wishes to silence it. You hear the girl whimpering some way away from you, and the madman mumbling, don't cry," to her. Still in his embrace, the old man asks you, "How did you get here? To this dreadful place?" "I don't know," you whisper back to him. "I don't know anything." He lifts you from your place, carries you to the bed, placing the rag around your shoulders once more. You look up at him, and for the first time notice how pale his eyes are as they bear into yours. "What do you remember?" he asks you. "The woman," you say instinctively. The woman and her children. God of the new world." It comes flooding back to you, and the words begin to get caught in your throat. Your breaths become more jagged, as if your lungs refuse to allow air into you. You remember what you saw. You remember what she said. You remember what she did. The old man taps your arm. "Forget all that," he says, glancing back at his son. The madman was eyeing you, anxious to say something. The girl was curled against a wall facing away from you. "What do you remember?" he asked again. You look at him, confused and distressed. "I don't understand," you tell him. "You were dreaming," he tells you. "What did you dream in your fitful sleep?" You stutter. I dreamt?" You focus, trying to rid your mind of the things you remember. I saw a ship on a sandy bank. It had tall white masts, no flag though. It was docked near a rocky surface. The ocean was lapping and frothing over its hull, and skies were blue and clear, no cloud in sight. I could hear birds, seagulls, flying somewhere above, screeching at each other. You look at your hands. "That's what I dreamt." The old man regarded you for a moment and then nodded. He smiled all of a sudden. "Well," he announced, "it seems we had better start making a move." He moves away from you, pulling the girl to her feet and gesturing for the madman to stand also. He turned to you then and asked, "Are you coming with us or not?" It's slightly less gory than the last one. Oh no, did it freeze? No! Where did I leave off? What was the last thing that I said? I can continue. Sorry, I wasn't looking at the screen. Let me grab a charger. I think I can charge it with this, actually. I think it froze because the battery's low. I didn't know how the battery ran out so quickly, though. Come on, can I come out? There goes my wolf. I might bring you in a little closer just so that the charger can reach. Okay, but I need everything not to fall. Oof. I promise I will respond to you in just a moment. I'm just resetting everything. Is it charging? It is not. I'm annoyed. What is happening? Are we good? I don't know if this is actually charging, and I want to continue, but I need for this to be charged. So give me a second. I don't know how to pause this, but what I might do is I'll take you with me, like whatever, like it doesn't matter anyway. I'm just gonna go and grab something. Give me a sec. I'll join you. But for those of you who are in the chat, please let me know where I stopped, and I can restart. I can reread wherever I stopped in the live stream. I'm annoyed. I'm pissed. Give me a second. Phase live streams, we always have something that goes wrong. Oh, quality entertainment, people. This is what quality entertainment looks like with zero effort. Alright, we got a charger, we got an input. Are we charging now? Yes, we're charging. All right. Great. I'm going to check the chat for a second. I might need to do some configuring here because I've made a nice little hot mess for myself. Oof. Uploading every day. Sorry. Uploading every day. You'd think that I'd have this down by now, but no. I'm still ratchet as hell. But I'm going to check the chat for a second, and then we can, wherever I stopped off, I can continue reading from there. Sorry. It seems like I've been frozen for a while. I'm a big junk shop library. I'm a big fan of horror, and these are terrific in all senses of the word. Thank you. The video is frozen here. Audio is still okay. Just me. Junk shop didn't show. I don't show. Same on my end. Live stream is frozen. Fixed. We have motion again. You're unfrozen. Okay. If it find we could hear the audio though. Okay, you could hear the audio. Okay, great. So, dream within a dream is a very interesting aspect. It's great that the audio still works, because then, like, I mean, that's the main part of the show, is the reading part. So, you don't need to see my face for it, but I'm glad that the audio kept running. I'm just gonna... Okay, since the audio is still running and you basically heard the whole story, it doesn't really matter. And I can open the next chapter, which is called Plethora of Dreams, which was, it's literally what it says it was. It was a plethora of dreams I had in one night. But before I dive into that chapter, I am just going to go through the chat. Morrigan says, the dream within a dream aspect is very interesting. So with these dreams... They were very confusing at one point. I feel like I'm off center. It was very confusing at one point because it always felt like I was waking up while I was dreaming. Does that make sense? Like I would fall asleep, I'd be dreaming, and in the dream I would be waking up. And it was very confusing. Like I had very, like back then I had a very hard time understanding if like my brain was trying to tell me something, like if there was a deeper meaning to this, but it's just the landscape of my brain. But yeah, there was also this idea that there were layers of dreams, so I would be dreaming as the character in my dream as well, and it's just like, it's crazy. I don't know, it doesn't make any sense. However, I might be projecting from my own experiences. That's fine. Audio was fine. It was just the video, so no need to restart. Okay, thank you. True, audio was fine. Image was frozen. Loved the image of the ship with no flag. The details of the white mast was great. Thank you. Ahmed09 says, are you doing a live stream tomorrow? I don't know. I have an assignment to write for Tuesday that I haven't even started, and I don't really know what to do for it. So I think that I'm going to be focusing on that. I'm going to record a video today and post tomorrow so you guys have some content. But I don't think I'll be live streaming tomorrow. Live streams are typically on Sunday, but if you guys want another live stream on another day, please let me know. Maybe I can do it on Wednesday or Friday or something like that. So yeah, I don't know. It's down to you guys. You can throw it to a vote and tell me what you want. Morrigan, it makes total sense. Thank you. Nerdy Rodent says, it's dreaming characters all the way down, my lord. Sorry. Rory says, dreams has nothing to do with being God or Satan, but they are our imaginations. I don't know. I think to an extent, dreams... So when I was a kid, I always used to feel like I had deja vu a lot. Like I could predict things that were going to happen. And even now, I have a certain level of intuition to like foresee what's going to happen. Be that while I'm watching a movie, or like be that in a drama situation that I know the people that I'm with. I have a certain level of foresight that I can predict. Like maybe not foretell, but I can predict what's going to happen. And when I was a really young kid, I used to have dreams with like little snippets of my life that I would see happening, and then it would happen. And I would always tell like my friends or my family, I would always be like, hey, I dreamt about this. And they were like, no, it's just deja vu. Don't worry about it. And I was like, no, no, no. I remember dreaming about this. And it's just like, I don't know. One of my teachers, it was one of my literature teachers, she was like, yeah, some kids have that and it's often stifled, which is why that skill is never developed. But I don't know if it's a real thing. It probably isn't, it's just me wanting to be special, even though I'm pretty special as it is, if this live stream has taught anyone anything. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know too much about dreams, but I know that I'm a lucid dreamer, and that's it. Rory the Swagger Husky says dream. Okay, I've already read that. Is there anything else? Don't we all have instinct that is present in every human animal? Yes, we do. We do have instincts that are present, but I do feel as though those instincts are honed, so they're honed to certain situations and circumstances. And since I spent a significant portion of my life skulking around and keeping secrets, I think that that's made my intuition a little bit more honed than maybe others. I don't know. But yeah, everyone has a gut feeling, everyone has an instinct, and over time I've learned to trust my gut feeling. Like I will trust my gut feeling over the things I want, over the things my brain thinks. Like my gut is my first point of call. If I feel wrong in a situation or about a specific person, I will follow it. That's just it. Like people I met, I don't want to name them because I'm sure they're wonderful people, but people I've met through different events, because I see a lot of people now through, well, not anymore because of Rona season, but through people I've met in the past, through events, through speeches and like all sorts of stuff. There are certain people that I had an image of like in the back of my brain that later on I go and meet, and I'm like, my gut is telling me like, don't associate with this person. You don't want to associate with that person. And then when I, talk to other people about it, they're like, yeah, we had the same feeling around that guy or that girl or whatever. So I always trust my gut. I always trust my gut. It's just something that I've learned to do. It has never failed me. It's also, my gut is also something that steels me for a very like hard decision. Like my decision to break up with my boyfriend last year, there was a gut feeling that told me that it was going to happen on a certain day, and I just accepted it. And I don't know if that's a self-fulfilling prophecy, but yeah, it's something that has never let me down. It's something that I've always learned to trust. I've learned to trust, and I will always trust. So yeah. some people are saying that instincts is taking us away from is taken away from us with technology. I don't know about that. I spend a lot of time on the internet. Nettie Rodent says, I'm skeptical about my gut feelings. Why is that? Please share your thoughts. Morrigan says, we are all special, we just don't realize it. However, it's a collective thing, so we have to recognize everybody's preciousness to step within our specialness comfortably. By the way, Faye, not part of the topic, but did you know Mimsy is pregnant? Yes, and I got a notification on my phone telling me that she just uploaded. I'm part of that reaction compilation, so I need to go and watch that as soon as this live stream is over. But yeah, I knew. I knew as of 2 weeks now, I think, because she revealed it to me at the last event that I was at, and I'm still super, super surprised and really excited to have a little member of our, surrogate family. But now, okay, I'll read Nerdy's comment and then I will get back to the story. We have 2 more chapters to go, and then that's as much as I've written, and I want to write a little bit more in the coming weeks, months, years, I don't know. But that's where we're at. Nerdy says, I'm skeptical because in many cases I need to fully understand my own justification for thinking in particular ways. See, I don't. I don't. I very much do first, which I'm not saying is the best way of managing things, but once I'm set on something and I feel like this is the right thing to do, I do it, and then I deal with the fallout afterwards, if there is fallout. And more times than not, there hasn't been fallout from the choices I've made when I've followed my gut. There's always been fallout when I've not done something because my brain is in 2 places, and there's always been fallout when I only follow my heart and only do what I want to do. It's something, I don't know, it's just, maybe it's just my experience, maybe I'm completely misleading everybody who's taking me as an example. Do not take me as an example, it's not a good idea. But it's just something that, for example, I'll take a really long time to plan something. So when I was planning to leave my dad's house, before any of the shit that went down, I was planning to leave my dad's house well before he ran in and, beat the crap out of me. But in my mind, I felt like I was planning for that. I had a gut feeling that he was going to beat the crap out of me, and that would lead me to leaving my house. So I was I don't know, subconsciously or whatever, but I was packing and mentally choosing the things that I would need if I was to leave my home and things like that. I have this thing in my brain that I give everybody 3 chances, and once they've dicked me over 3 times, that's it. I have to cut them off. I have to cut them off either in friendship or whatever situation I'm in with that person. And obviously there's ways of redeeming that, and my brain has a very weird way of working, but there's a level of intuition with me that I can't refuse, because it's just never let me down. And maybe that will change when it does let me down at some point, okay? But for the moment, and as of here and now, it has not let me down, and I'm gonna continue following it. Anyway, before we dive even more into intuitiveness, we are going to continue with the next chapter. For those of you who've just joined us, I don't know if there's anyone new. We are doing a live dramatic reading. Share, subscribe, all that good stuff. This is Plethora of Dreams. Water. You love water. What is this? It laps over your arms, breathing, pulsing, alive as you are. You look at your hands, wrinkled, wet, sinking slowly. No panic, calm, like a funeral. Nothing fast, nothing loud. Slow, steady, calm. Bubbles. Bubbles rising from the depths. From the cracks of the bedrock, the soul of the earth. Otter. Otter dancing, squeaking before your eyes, playing with a stone. Soft fur, shiny eyes, big smile. Otter dances. Otter squeaks. Otter plays. You smile. Otter stops. The mood changes. The water obscures. Otter swims away. Frantic. You chase. Otter disappears. Fish. Fish and crustaceans. Swarming past you, panic. Screams fill your mind. Screams of a million tiny creatures, defenseless screams. Bubbles erupting from your mouth. You're sinking. Deeper, deeper, down, down. Fish, octopi, squid, packs of shark, all running in fear for their lives. Rushing past you, stampeding. Water running red. You look down at the bedrock, breathing, gulping, swallowing, sucking everything into its maw, spitting red into the clear water, the water you once loved. Okay, that was that chapter. And then the final chapter is the Black Hound. I think that's the last one. Well, unless, I've categorized these all wrong and there's more. But I remember that this was probably the last one I wrote when I came off my medication. But yeah, what did you guys think of that one? And we will move into the last and final chapter before we close off and we can give some final thoughts. Intuitiveness can be good and has its issues. Yeah, I'm sure it does. Matters of the heart or that take complex thinking probably wins with my intuition. Fair enough. Nerdy Reddit. Yay, otter dancing. That didn't last long. Rory the Swagger Husky. Personally, I don't believe you have to marry someone to show them you love them, because you can love someone without being married. True, I agree. Don't know where that comment is coming from, but sure. Junk Shop Library says, I love the weird, abrupt phrasing in this one. It reminds me of some of Bradbury's work. There is a lot of, I think throughout this phase, while I was writing like these types of stories, I had a lot of weird ways of phrasing things because I was messing around with literature. I was reading a lot of literature. So especially around 2012, 2013 and 2014, I was reading a lot of styles of literature because I was doing something called Literature Through the Ages, which is from Geoffrey Chaucer, which is like, I want to say 11th, 12th century, to modern literature. So we did Geoffrey Chaucer, we did some medieval literature, we did some Tudor literature, we did Victorian, Edwardian, we did modern and postmodern, and I kind of took all of I loved that back in the day. And again, like I said a couple of live streams ago, I'm very excited to be reading again. It's something fun that I've been missing from my life for a really, really long time. And I used to pick out, like, Shakespeare I love. I've read a lot of his plays. I've read them in the form of comic books. I've read them in the form of actual, like, plays. And I've seen quite a few of them. My favorite is Hamlet, obviously. But, with the little emo kid twist. So, yeah, I used to take a lot of things from those pieces of literature and kind of work them into my own work. I used to love like the sublime kind of poetry. None of it comes to mind at the moment, but I remember like metaphysical and sublime poetry I used to love. I loved Tom Hardy is one of my favorite Victorian writers. I would argue maybe my favorite Victorian writer because he wrote very complex and tragic characters. George Orwell was a big influence on a lot of my writing. I don't know if it's obvious or not, but I love 1984 and a lot of his other work. Burmese Days was another one that I loved. Animal Farm, obviously, but I didn't read Animal Farm until way later. Postmodern literature I didn't really get into. It's not my jam, but I love like old literature and things like that. So I used to take some of the weird phrasings that they used to make and just throw it into into my work and see if it fits. And if it didn't, I would be severely told off by my writing community and I would have to change it. So yeah, like there were certain members of my community that were just like, what does this mean? And I would be like, okay, so clearly it doesn't stick. I can't do that. Morrigan says, you have a complex emotional life. I liked it. You give life to emotions. Thank you. I'm hoping as an artist that I can do that. Rory the Swagger Husky says, I wish you could write 500 characters on Twitter. You can write threads. I'm kind of glad that Twitter has a limit because otherwise I'd be writing full stories on there and No one would like me. Rory says, Faye, can I get your autograph? We're in social isolation at the moment. Maybe at my next event. I think it's probably going to be DaveCon, or if you're coming to Comic-Con this year in London, I'll be there. Um, you know, that's where I'll be. But if you want to get something of mine, that I've drawn and, you know, actively participated in making, you can buy merch, which is in the description below. So yeah, that's down to you. But if you want an autograph, and that's just even weird me saying that, like I'm very awkward in person. Not really, because I can put on a face. I have that Leo rising energy. But you know, internally I feel very awkward about it. There were a couple of people who met me at the Shunning event 2 weeks ago, and it it was very strange, like people telling me, oh, I came all the way from Birmingham to see you, and I'm like, you traveled all that way for me? Why? Because I told you to. But yeah, I appreciate it. But yeah, if you would like something made by me, then there's merch in the linked in the description below. Morrigan says, I trust my intuition about people. It's probably because I'm more sensitive than average people. Maybe I'm a little touchy sometimes. Lol, I should forgive more. I When it comes to people, I have very, very good intuition about people that I'm not dating. Because when I'm dating, I like to keep everything open. I'm very, very low maintenance in the dating world because my expectation bar is, honestly, it's so low. It's so low. It's just basic. I can get on with almost anybody. I am willing to look past faults and flaws because we all have them, and I know I have a fair few of them. And you know, as long as I get to do my own thing, you're basically the perfect person for me. But unfortunately, too many people expect more from me in a relationship, and that's just not my jam. Like, I'm not going to be one of those people that takes care of you. I've done that my whole life, and I'm determined not to go back to that. My first relationship was like that. My second relationship was like that. I don't need one of those, which is kind of why I'm just staying single for the moment. But when it comes to just judging the hell out of people that I'm not dating, I'm very, very good at picking out who I'm not going to be able to deal with because I have a sense of intuition about around people. I like to call it, like, I can read, like some people will call it reading people's auras or energies, but it's just like I don't even need to talk to them. Like, I can just feel it radiating from the way that they behave and act and talk to other people. There's just like a sense of intuition that's just like, you're gonna get in a fight with that person. You've been drinking, you shouldn't talk to that person. Don't get involved. Don't get involved. Like, I can just feel it in here. So I tend to just agree with that and just be like, okay, I can probably live without making that acquaintance. Nerdy Rodent says, for some reason I switched around age 8 from reading to computer programming, so it's interesting to see what a wordsmith can do. Thank you. I've never been called a wordsmith before. I've had different phases with reading. When I was a really young kid, I loved reading, and then I got sort of pulled away from English literature because in primary school, or I don't know, what do they call it in America? Elementary school or something? Like, in primary school, I was always treated like the one that didn't know English because I wasn't born here. But my English has always been really, really good. I used to watch a lot of cartoons when I was really small, and my mum said that TV taught you how to speak English, and my English has always been good. But every single year that I went to school, they would always put me in the class for English that was like English as a second language. They would always do it, and it put me off reading and it put me off English completely. But then when I went into secondary school and I was very isolated, you know, I had to stay at home, my parents were crazy, you know, the whole Islamist life took over. I got back into reading, and I read a bunch of stories. I got into Shakespeare when I was like 14, not only because Shakespeare's amazing, but also I felt like a 15th century person really understood me and my situation with arranged marriages and isolation and like patriarchalness. like all of that, and the religious consumption of the society, like all of that. Victorian was also something that I liked reading. So I got very, very into literature, and that continued until I was about, I want to say 18. And then after 18, I got preoccupied with taking care of children and my dad and all that drama with my family. And then, like, I have, since I was about 21, had pretty severe depression. Like I stopped doing anything that I was interested in. Like even now, it takes me a really long time to sort of build the courage, almost like it's really dumb, to build the courage to put something to paper or to draw something or to do something artistic or invest in my interest, because my mind is just like, oh, that's going to be garbage. Like, don't even bother with that. Like, what's the point? You're just wasting your life. You're never going to be recognized for that. It's just all of those things like in the back of my brain. So the depression has sort of stopped me from reading, but I'm slowly getting back into it. What I often find, and people are horrified by this because they're like, I can't believe you do that to your books. I'm sorry, but it helps. Okay, it's my books, I bought it, it's mine. Shut the fuck up. I like to highlight as I read, like highlight like fun quotes, or leave like little pencil notes or even pen notes in my books, just like whatever I'm thinking, and it just helps me read. It's something that I never needed help with. Like I could finish like a 500 to 1,000 page book in a day, and now I can barely read 5 pages without being like turned off by my brain. But yeah, I also got super into manga. Manga is still something that I can read without thinking, but because I like, it's got pictures in it, it's not that hard to read. It takes like an hour to read books, but to read manga, sorry. But when it comes to reading books, I like highlighting and annotating and leaving like quirky little messages like, oh my god, I relate to that so much. Like I'm someone else as an introvert. Anyways, forgiveness is a big sign of heart. Setting boundaries is very healthy, especially when you have a big giving heart. Learned that just recently. I agree. I said same thing to Mimsy about getting her autograph, and she said she thought I was funny. You are funny. You mean preschool? Do you believe there is racism in the UK? Well, I think that society was slightly more racist when I was younger, but to be fair, I've never felt disadvantaged by racism, if that makes sense. Like, I've always been a stoic. That's what I call myself. I think that it's very self-congratulatory on my part, but I've always been a stoic. I don't believe in being limited by what society thinks of you. And I mean, you could probably tell that already. Like, I really don't care what other people think, you know? And I've never felt like, I understand why racism limits people and why people feel the way that they feel, but I honestly have a hard time having my feelings hurt by people in general. Like, even my friends, when they judge the hell out of me, I have a hard time feeling offended. It's a real like blessing, honestly, because I really don't care what people say to me. I love criticism. I love especially constructive criticism, but criticism in general, because I feel like there's always something to learn and there's always a way to improve, and I try to look at it in a very positive way. But I mean, when I was younger, even though that was the climate at the time, I do think that it was slightly more racist when I was younger, and now it's a lot more accepting. And because I was born in another country, my mum didn't know how to speak English at the time. My dad did, but he grew up here. But my mum, like, whenever she came over to like pick me up or like talk to my teachers, it was very obvious that she didn't know how to speak English, and you know, she was judged the hell out of that. And eventually she did learn, because I did a fair bit of talking to English with her, even though she didn't like me talking English at home. She wanted to preserve my Bengali and things like that. And yeah, it was definitely more racist at the time, but it was never something that I felt affected me very much. I have no, like, a lot of people, you know, say that I'm whitewashing because I have blonde hair and things like that. Like, I want to be a white person, but I mean, besides the fact that I'm completely disowned from my family, I'm the brownest person, except for maybe Ali Malik, I'm the brownest person I know. Like, in terms of the way that I behave and in my attitude and the things that I get myself into. And sometimes just my energy is very Asian. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe I take that back. I think I'm the brownest person besides Sadio Hamid and Ali Malik. I think I'm the brownest person I know. And maybe some work friends. But yeah. Anyways. Only people who are worthy of leadership should take up the position of leadership, whether men or women. I feel very weird about leadership in general. Joke Shop Library, glad I'm not the only one who annotates their books. Thank you. Thank you for not making me feel like a monster. Everyone makes me feel like a monster. They're my books. Leave me, especially in self-help books, I will make annotations and like point out that I feel like something is bullshit. I will write an annotation. This is bullshit. Nerdy Rodin says, I just accepted that everything I did was garbage because we all have to start somewhere. If you don't do something, how can you get better at it? True. And that's usually the thought process that goes into my brain when I finally like... The problem with me is I know that if I just start, I'll be able to finish it. It's the starting part that I get so like afraid of, and it's really dumb. Like I hate it. Also, I have another chapter to read, so I'm just going to get through the last few messages. We'll read the last chapter, we'll have final comments, and then we will end the stream. But before I do that, I just want to say thank you for being here with me. Some people from the beginning of the live stream, and I really hope that you've had a good time. Practice makes perfect. Yes, indeed. Nerdy Rodent says, almost. I don't believe in perfect, but I do believe in getting better and getting better at getting better. Yes, true. Rory says, criticism can improve a person and political correctness is disgusting. I don't like political correctness. Morgan says, human morality has no skin color. Thank you. Rory the Swagger Husky says, Faye, you should talk about self-love and how important it is to people. I have a series on my channel about self-love. You can check it out. I've done a couple of videos about self-acceptance and self-love. I'm not gonna go and look them up right now because we've already had 100 minutes on this live stream and I need to get through the last chapter because it's the final chapter of this series, so I just want to wrap it up. But you can go and search for those on my channel. I'm pretty sure I have a playlist called Dancing with My Demons, and there should be some self-love content in there. So yeah, if you want to check those out, go ahead and tell me what you think. Leave me a comment. But yeah, we're going to get into the last and final chapter of this series. It's been a crazy journey. It's called The Black Hound. I think this is one of the only dreams that I've had that features a dog, despite the fact that I love dogs. I think I've had a total of 2 dreams that feature dogs, and this was one of them. So I really like this one. Starting now. The world is hollow. The world used to be full of life, full of light, full of laughter. No more. The world is a carcass, a husk of its former self. Your eyes are bleary, but what else is new? Yet strangely dry. You're lying on the rough granite pavement, but nothing but a cloak to conceal you. The old man is gone, the madman is gone, the girl is gone. You thought they were right behind you, but you don't know where you are. A ship. You were looking for a ship. But there's no sign of the sandy shores, the white sails, the ship that would have carried you to your sanctuary. Only a hollow world masked in darkness. You sit up, finding that your arms are covered in little cuts and bruises, your torso scratched and scabbed, all your hair standing in unison. You're cold, you're hungry, you hear panting and soft padded footsteps. Pulling your cloak around you, you brace yourself in fear, your jaw locking, teeth clenched, preparing yourself to bolt. Your legs are asleep, you can't move them. You stand as quickly as you can, the pins and needles preventing you from any sudden movement. There's a dull ache in the small of your back. What happened? Where were you? How did you get here? The padded footsteps draw closer, and a small dark creature comes into view. A little black dog, its pink tongue lolling as it panted, and it made its way slowly towards you. Your heart is pounding. with distrust and fear, but your longing for normality makes you tear up. There are tears rolling down your cheeks at the sight of this animal, and before you can stop yourself, you reach out to it and let it sniff your hand. It's tentative, pausing a moment, staring at you with its dark, beady eyes before licking your fingers and coming close, rubbing its body up against your legs. You pet the dog's head, scratching it behind its ears, and it whines in affection. Follow me, it seems to beckon. Follow me, I have something to show you. You sigh. You wipe the tears from your face. You know that small moment of the primal need for companionship between man and beast couldn't last. The dog stamped its front paw, impatient, as if it could hear your thoughts. You step towards it reluctantly, and it leads you down the granite path ahead. There is no light, so you hurry behind the dog as your vision adapts to the darkness all around you. Come, the little dog says. Come quick. I don't have time to waste. You can hear your bare feet slapping on the cold ground as you hasten to keep up. After being alone once, you don't want to be alone again. You can hear the little dog panting as it trotted along. You can see its little eyes and its pink tongue when it turns to check on you. You still don't know if you trust it, but without it, you wouldn't know what to do or where to go. You see a light. In the distance, a small but blinding speck, like a single star in a night sky. The dog barks, and the beginnings of a smile begin to break your face. How long has it been since you smiled? Did you ever think you would smile again? You see, he asks. Do you see it, human? Isn't it beautiful? You open your mouth to respond, but a gasp leaves instead. You've stepped in something. You stop, and the dog halts in front of you. It turns and looks at you with a confused expression. What are you doing? You've stepped in something. You've broken something. Something soft like mush beneath your feet, and something hard like blunt little needles. And there's a smell you have only noticed now, and a smell that was cancelled by your excitement. A dead smell, a rotting smell, a smell that you had become too familiar with. The dog trotted up to you. It didn't seem all that little anymore, and its coat was darker, shinier. It lapped at your feet, cleaning them of gore and rot. Come, it beckoned. You have to come. But fear is making you stick. Fear is causing you to stay, too frightened to keep going. If you do not move, the dog threatened, you will become what you fear. You gulp and step forward, once more into soft rot and through the pungent stench of decay. You cannot see it, and for once in your existence here, you are grateful for the darkness. But as you near the distant speck of light, you begin to see what you are walking through. The dog never stops. It's becoming more impatient with you. It's definitely bigger. Big enough to kill you. You're knee-deep in remains. Human remains, animal remains, wading through congealing blood and melting organs. The air so wretched and thick, it's hard to breathe. You stop, seeing all this. The dog snorts, frustrated. Do you want to die here? It asks you. Finding your voice, you ask back. Are you going to kill me? The dog barked. It was so loud you recoiled. Is this the thanks I get, he asks you, for leading you to the light? You haven't answered my question, you insist. The dog's eyes sparkled, catching the light. I'm not here to kill you, but if you stay here, you will become one with the mound. Why has this happened? I have killed many people, I have eaten many people, and I have seen the ends of the world, he tells you. But a new God has been born, and I know that I cannot continue to be as I am. Now come, or lie down and die like all the others. You look around you, at the stream of remains. You nod and follow the black hound up to the light. You stopped to dry heave once, but didn't stop otherwise. You were determined not to die, not here, and not like this. Out. You're out. You fall to your knees, shielding your eyes with your hands. The hound comes to you, rubbing its immense body against yours. Sand. There is sand beneath you. You look at the hound, and you smile. You finally smile. It looks much more wolf-like than you had originally seen. It licked your face. Where is it? You ask. Where is the ship? The hound looked at you and shook its head. You looked around. There was a body of water in front of you, but it was not a sea. It was barely large enough to be a river. What happened to the ship? You ask, your smile fading, forgotten. You already boarded the ship, the hound tells you. It capsized and you landed here. What about my friends, my companions? You ask the hound. It jerked its head back down the way you had come. If you want to check, you can go back, but I would not advise this. You shake your head wildly and then ask, Who are you? Why have you helped me? I have already told you. I cannot continue as I have. A new god has been born. It does not bode well for me or mine, but I believe you know this anyway. From a time before, as for who I am, the hound turned to look away and looked out at the river. I am called Hrothvitnir. Do you stutter. The hound waits for you to finish. Do you know who I am? The hound laughs, you humans, and strides off. You get up and follow it quickly as it leads you to the river. And that's the end of the story so far. What did you think? What did you think of it in general? What did you think? I'm just looking through like the older posts. That is the complete Alone in the Dark dream series as of here and now. I might add to it because I do have like a little list that I've been keeping of my more recent dreams. So I probably will add to it, and if you want to stay up to date with my blog posts, go and subscribe to it. Go to the blog and subscribe either through WordPress or by email. It's all possible. And yeah, tell me what you thought of it in general. I like the style that I wrote in. I think that it's cool being completely achronological, and most of all, I just hope you all had a great time, because I certainly did. And the next time we do a dramatic reading, we might actually read some completed stories, but I mean, that's for the future, if you would like that. If you have interpretations or anything that you would like to add, or if you would like to express your concern for my mentality and my brain, you're free to do that as well, but I would appreciate if you didn't. So Junk Shop Library says, great opening line, thank you. Rory says, people have said I speak a lot of truth and sense. Okay. Rory says, there is nothing wrong with crying, but it's crying over petty things, which I've been guilting of. I cry all the time. Like, it's not even... Morrigan says, the thought of a better tomorrow was interrupted by the learned belief not to dare hope. Dog. Okay. Morrigan, this was my metaphorical interpretation. Interesting. Junk Shop Library says, I love that you begin to see what you were walking through line. Definitely dragging me along through the story. Thank you. Rory says, Faye, can we be friends, if not in real life, but on social media? I mean, we are friends. You hang out with me every week, so we're friends already. Junk Shop Library, very strong streak pattern. I've suddenly forgotten how to read after reading for 117 minutes. Very strange speech patterns by the hound. I love it. Thank you. His name is Hrothvitnir. Critical Cripple says, okay, here, just, yeah, feel free to shill your own stuff as well. All of my mods, feel free to shill your own stuff. You're all very, very welcome to it. Morrigan says, interpretation, do you put your faith in love if it has let you down before? Always a struggle for everyone. I don't know how I feel about love, because love is an emotion that I very recently discovered. I made a video about it. I can't remember what it's called, but it's quite an old video on my channel. It might be one of the ones that I used to speed up because I used to think that I speak too slow. But love is a very, very recent emotion that I've discovered, and I don't know how I feel about it. I think it's one of those emotions that feel wonderful when you're in it, but can fuck you up once you lose it. So I don't know how I feel about it. I think it's a little overrated by the media. I don't think it's something that one needs. I think it's a wonderful emotion when you're in it again, but ultimately it's not my favorite emotion of all time. I would say that I enjoy my excitement more than I do love for anything. Because with love, I kind of mistrust it. I think sometimes I feel like I'm gonna lose it and I don't deserve it, or, all these different things because my mind is just weird. But yeah, that's how I feel about that. But you know, whatever. Thank you, Critical Cripple, for sharing my things. Junk Shop Library says, definitely love the achronological aspect of the obviously connected stories. It's like a puzzle I can't help but fight with. Yes, yes, I'm so glad that somebody gets it. I'm so glad that I'm not the only one that likes that style. And I want to continue making it. Like, I like the pattern that it's in. I don't want to make it chronological. I think it's cool. So yeah. But I don't know. I think it's a very intense experience. There are stories that are slightly more light-hearted that I've written. Well, not many, because a lot of my stories are they're filled with tragic people. I love tragic characters, complex characters that you can't put in like dark or light. They're very, very complex. I love creating complex characters, and that's what I enjoy the most. So yeah, a lot of my stories are quite intense. They're like an intense read because there's a lot of emotions going around. There's a lot of actions, questionable actions, I might add, going around, like things like that. So yeah. Rory the Swagger Husky says, human beings are complex creatures. Yes, they are. Arn and N, welcome to the chat. Hi, you're at the end of the live stream, but thank you for joining us. Welcome. We did a live dramatic reading, and you can scroll to the beginning to hear the whole story that I just read. But yeah, welcome. You were playing games. Well, you snooze, you lose, buddy. But I'm still here. You can listen to, because it's more of a listening experience than it is a watching experience. So you can listen to it while you're doing your laundry or something. I don't know. But it was a really fun. Live stream. I really, really enjoyed this, and I'm assuming that most of you enjoyed it as well, because some of you who were here at the beginning are still here. So I really, appreciate that. Morrigan says, the most trustworthy source is yourself, but self-love is a difficult skill to earn and master. I think that self-love is fluctuating. I think it fluctuates with people as they go through life. I think it's something that you definitely have to discover as you grow up, because someone broke it down to me ages ago that when you're really, really young, you try to gain the approval of your parents, and then as you grow into adolescence, you try to gain the approval of your peers, and you're no longer in need of your approval of your parents. And then when you go into adulthood, you try to gain acceptance from yourself, and you want validation from yourself. And I think I'm in between peers and self. Like, that's where I'm at, but more so self. Like, I'm trying to discover more of myself and accept the things that make me quirky and fun. And it's been at sometimes just existential crisis inducing, but other times it's been super, super hilarious and fun, and I really, really enjoy it. So yeah, I think it's a constant, like, self-love is a constant fluctuating space. And I think there's moments that you'll do things, you'll make a hard decision, you'll do bad things because you're human, and it will taint that. Like, it will make it very hard for you to love yourself, but it's just something that is very human and everyone deals with, I feel like. Morrigan says it leads in a pleasant direction, like returning to the Shire after a trip to Mordor. Well, the dreams that have come out of this noggin are not exactly pleasant. So the ones that I will write later will probably take you in and out of pleasant. Like, if you hadn't noticed, it kind of goes from like pleasant experience to like deep, dark, gory, like just thrown at you, and it like shocks you and scares you and confuses you. That's what I'm going for, I feel like, throughout all of this. So yeah, and ultimately I think that that's how a lot of human experiences go. Like, maybe not to that extreme, but I feel like, you know, some of the worst things in our life that happen come out of nowhere. And it's not like a leading horror, it's a horror that comes out of nowhere when you're at peace. And that's another, like, a big fear for me, is that, like, one of the reasons why I feel like I can't live in peace is because I'm constantly afraid that someone's going to take it away from me. So, yeah. Last comment from Rory the Swagger Husky is, we all start in the female form in the womb, so really it's a female world in my opinion, but men have suppressed women. Okay, I know I'm putting myself down, but I am a man and it's the truth. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to get into the gender politics or any identity politics, to be fair. It's not my favorite thing. But thank you all for joining me for this week's live dramatic reading. Thank you, Ahmed09, for leaving that super chat. If you liked this video, please do remember to leave a like. Please do remember to share this live stream for anyone who you think would be interested in listening to me read a story. And, you know, if you didn't like this video, you know, leave me some comments, leave me some concerns. If you're worried about me, also please feel free to do that. I would advise against it, but you're welcome to do it. If you would like to support me in a more monetary way, I would deeply appreciate it. My PayPal is linked in the description below. My Patreon is there. My merch is there, so you could get a free t-shirt out of the deal. Well, not free, but a t-shirt. And thank you for joining me. I hope that you had, and I'm sure you did, a wonderful experience. And if you want me to do a live stream midweek because there's no work for me, let me know, and what day you would like it to be on, and what topic you would like to see also. I'm always looking for feedback from you guys, for criticism, for anything that you know, suggestions, anything that you want to see. You can also get me through Twitter, you can get me through, well, not so much any other medium, if I'm being completely honest. But yeah, if you want to leave me your suggestions, complaints, concerns, questions, anything, get me through Twitter or leave me a comment in my YouTube videos. Typically, it's a better deal to tweet at me, because sometimes YouTube goes ahead and just deletes comments for me without me knowing. And I hate that, because I can only see like a portion of it, and then I'm like wondering for the rest of the night, like, what did that person say? Was it something important? Was it a troll? I don't know. So yeah, thank you for joining me, and I will see you in the next live stream video. Whatever I do, I will see you. So goodbye.